We're here with the number 1 ranked on the IBC World Tour, Tanner McDaniel. We're here to get some questions answered from this South American leg.
Yeah, it's a long month. We just got out from a fun little surf.
Yeah.
At the local watering hole creek. Pretty fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Just got back. I guess let's just dive right in here.
Yeah, we got some answers. We got some questions on the phone.
Yeah, let's just start off with Arica. You know.
Yeah. Good place to start.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid location. Just I guess for the people listening, let's just describe the wave itself and how dangerous it is when you're actually there.
Yeah. I think that most people, if you watch Arica, you get a pretty good idea of how sketchy the wave is. But when you're there, you really get a sense of the magnitude of how close it is to the rocks, how little of a channel there is, and just how intense the wave is. Because a lot of the time, the first time you surf it, you get out there and you're like, these are just closeouts.
Yeah.
You're looking at it, you're like, this is a closeout into rocks.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I surfed it, I was like, there's not a freaking chance I'm doing this.
You don't want any of those.
But once you kind of adjust and get a couple waves and see see which ones are makeable, you see which ones actually have almost like a wedge that pushes through it and it hits the reef right. It's a damn good wave. It's a sick wave.
Looks pretty perfect when and it's pretty dry at the end there.
It's pretty shallow at the end there, yeah. There are certain waves that go pretty much dry.
Yeah, you can see it in a lot of those cliffs when people are groveling it to the end.
Oh man, and some of the closeouts that people hit, you can see in the flats of the wave, it kind of looks like it's warping a little bit, and that's just because it's literally the rocks are about to stick up.
God.
So it's intense. It's such a good wave.
Yeah.
Some of the waves you see out there, especially in the free surfs, I'm always trying to identify waves that maybe, okay, that was a really, really good wave. It was insanely sketchy, but in the comp, if you need a 10, they're there. You can.
They're always there.
If you're gonna go for it, you can.
You can just send it, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess another big question that we're getting is when it's as big as it was those last 2 days, how do you prepare yourself for that? Because I feel like the average person wouldn't be very willing to go out there when it's that big.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I think everyone kind of has a different way of prepping for those kind of conditions. Personally, it was pretty hard for me to get into, be interested in big waves, especially when I was younger. Didn't want anything to do with a wave over 3 foot for a long time. And just slow exposure to those kinds of conditions was for me the best way to prepare. I had to do it over time, slowly, having a session where you're kind of scared shitless, and then you make it to the beach and you're like, okay,
wasn't so
I survived. The whole time I was even if you maybe it wasn't big enough where you could get killed or get really hurt, I don't know, but you see over time okay, I can handle that. And just slow exposure to that kind of stuff for me was the best way to do it. It wasn't I had one session where it was big and scary and I came in and I'm that's it, I'm a charger now. It was a slow gradual. It was a slow thing for me, but getting ready to surf those kind of waves in a comp is tricky because you got to kind of learn to balance the risk and reward.
Yeah.
Like,
You really got to know too.
yeah, especially on Eureka, because like there's 10-point rides out there when it's big like that. But I looked at a couple waves the big day, like when it was big and mostly right. So I looked at a couple lefts where I was like, this is like the best wave ever. But if I don't make it, or if there's a set behind it, like
Yeah.
I'm pretty done. Like, you don't really have much of an escape route. I do gotta say, the ski driver this year in Eureka was a gangster.
How was that guy?
He was legit. Like, we've always like wondered, like, okay, like they have a ski out there, and in the past they've had skis out there in the channel and stuff, but they're not really gonna go put themselves in the impact zone to pick you up. This guy was picking people up when there was like a 10-foot set coming.
Yeah, who was that guy? You need to hire him all over the place.
That guy was legit. So, you know, props to him. He was a lifesaver a couple of times. Like, there are a couple situations where he was like putting himself, the ski, like right in the zone, like picking people up like in the impact zone in front of the rocks. Like, I don't know if anyone saw like what happened the big day where he went to go pick someone up in front of, we call it the turtle.
And that like, there's that clip of him like going like, away.
Yeah, and he had to like bail out and zoom out and around that rock. And I don't know if a camera angle was able to capture how insane that is, because that wave, that left, we call it supers. That left over there is like so close to the rocks, and so the fact that he was like in front of it, in between the rock, like trying to outrun that wave. He did outrun that wave. Is like insane. It was the craziest thing ever.
Such a lifesaver.
Yeah. All right, what else we got?
Let's see.
I think I know what's next.
Well, I'm just curious what it looks like inside one of those big ass barrels, because
Dude,
I was watching those and I was like, I can't even imagine what it looks like in a wave that big.
It's really cool. Like that one of the barrels I had against, or the 10-point barrel I had against Moz, like, I wish I had a GoPro or something. That was like
the photo of that. The water shot is like, like
so
crazy.
That was a big. It was a big barrel, and like,
and it just kept going too.
It was sick because like a lot of the time, like people get barrels that big out there, but I feel like they don't always look as makeable as that wave was. When I was taking off, I was like, sick. This thing is really good. Like a lot of the time when you're taking off on a set on those days, like there's like, it feels like there's a little chance it's gonna close out, or it's gonna pinch, or something's gonna happen, because it just runs off the reef. But I could see the way it was like cupping the reef, and just the way it came in, it was so sick. And it was like as big as a barrel I've like had a pipe. Like it was legit.
So sick.
Yeah. So that was like, there's a frame from inside the barrel that is like kind of just like burned into my brain. Like I could see like the photographers, I could see the ski. I'm pretty sure Moz was in the channel paddling back out, and I just remember seeing it like running down the line, and just like could see the exit, and I was like, okay, just hold on, like
this is it.
you know, just keep trucking through.
All right, well, one of the biggest topics on here is the 100-foot inverse that was thrown in the final here.
I should probably address that one.
I thought it was freaking dope, but
would have been cool to stick it.
I almost did too.
I gotta say, I was pretty close to pulling that one. Like, I don't know if you can't really see it on the footage, but okay, I'll explain what happened. So
I think the people just need to understand why that rotation happened.
So it was quite a bit of time in the heat. It was like, maybe the halfway point in the heat. It's kind of a blur to me now, but I saw the wave and I knew it was a really good ramp, and I needed a 4.75 or something stupid, but I was like, this wave is so good. Like, and I had been trying to get a 5 for the whole heat. Like, I could not get another wave other than the 9 that I had. Like that wave just worked out perfectly for me. I had a bunch of other waves that just like were lemons.
Yeah, we're not the same as any of those other ones.
Like that final, like the waves went so weird. It probably didn't look like it, but the tide like had just peaked, so it was like super full and like fat on the reef, and it just wasn't like, I don't know, waves weren't doing what they normally do out there. So I was kind of thrown off by that.
It even seemed like that wave you did the inverse on was like kind of different than
it was weird.
The normal average crazy ramp.
Yeah, and I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a good run into this. Just got to do an invert. And when I hit it, because I had so much like forward momentum from driving like towards that section, when I like flipped the invert, I tweaked it and I felt myself start to rotate, like over rotate, like what happens when you do an invert and you
just
like,
too far.
You tweak it like a little too hard and you come too far around and you sometimes land sideways or even backwards.
Yeah.
And the second that I felt myself starting to do that, I was like, I gotta commit to this rotation and try to tuck it and try to get around, otherwise there's no way I'm gonna land, because if I'm not committed to what's happening, there's just less of a chance I'm gonna land it than if I just go for the inverse.
It even seems harder to land if like you're just holding an invert and you're coming down like that. You might as well just like go for the reverse, because you're gonna land backwards regardless.
Yeah, because I tucked, I was kind of more prepared for like the impact, and then actually was able to spin around, so you can't see it really on, I haven't seen any footage that shows it, but I actually, as soon as I bounced, I spun around, like I was facing forward, I was facing the rocks, like I was, if that wave was gonna let me out, I was riding out.
You can see you get your foot down and spin, but
I got that around, but it was just too much whitewash to squeak out of.
Yeah, especially when it's a 8-foot wall of wash, it's kind of hard to push through those ones.
And people have said like, oh well, why, like right after, like, bro, why didn't you just do a roll, or like just
that probably
I don't know, play it safe. I was like, that section was so big, there was no way I was gonna land. Like I had just as good of a chance landing like a good move instead of just going for a roll. Like, I would, and also like if I did a roll on that section and didn't land it, I would be shooting myself, because I would never do a roll off that section in a free surf. Like,
for sure.
Part of my like philosophy for comps is like I try to keep it as close to my how I would free surf. Like if I get a wave in a comp, I'm not gonna, obviously sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, but I'm gonna try to keep it as close to as how I would free surf that wave in the comp, because that's how I want to be competing, that's how I like to surf, and trying to change that in the past hasn't worked for me, so I've just kind of had to, take that and roll with it.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot more entertaining that way too. So
I definitely prefer to make heats like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, second place in Arica, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Brazil here. This quite controversial final day. Let's talk about just that wave in general. It kind of looks like the hardest wave ever to surf in a contest.
Yeah, man.
Just bouncy and big and as heavy as you can imagine.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like it's like up there as like for sure like one of the most powerful beach breaks. Like, and it gets big. Like a couple of those days we had to run, like there were some bombs coming through. I got my world rocked a couple times, like, and I decided like before any of my heats, because people were like getting a wave and they would like get out of the water and run all the way up the beach and paddle out like in the cove where it's safe. And I was like, that looks like that sucks. Like I'm just not gonna do that. Like I know I can just paddle back out. I might get a couple waves on the head and it'll pump you out, but you just gotta. Also, it saves you so much time. Like I probably it would save you like 10 minutes if you just tried to paddle back out. Sometimes you get lucky or whatever if you know how to like time the bounce, or just commit to getting out the back. Unless you get super unlucky and there's like waves just keep breaking on you, you're gonna get out. But it's a Itacochara is a sick wave. It's got just so much power, but the timing of a lot of the waves is really weird. Like, it feels like when you're watching it and when you like are taking off, you're like, okay, I gotta race it and just get to the section as quick as I can because it's gonna shut down. But a lot of the time what happens is you race it and then you get up to the lip and it like seems to back off and then throw, so you hit it early and then you're
just like stuck.
You just kind of get like
hung up.
Yeah, it like speed checks you almost, so you like you have all this speed and you get up to it and there's just nothing throwing yet, and then you mistime it, and the timing of it is tricky, but once you kind of figure it out, like you can really tap into some good energy out there.
This one question here is actually quite interesting. It's, what was it like completing a decisive maneuver but having it deemed incomplete? Which is just about the biggest controversy in this entire South American leg, it seems. The people are posting all about it, so
yeah.
Let's get it out to the people, I guess.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like, I landed that backflip, but you can see in my reaction after the wave, if you watch the replay, like I put my hand up because I know how it probably looked like. I landed the flip and pulled into the whitewash. I know there wasn't a lot of time to see the control, and just, it's gonna be kind of I knew it was gonna be a sketchy call for the judges, but you can see me put my hand up after, and if you've ever watched me compete over the years, I don't claim anything.
Yeah.
I kind of
nothing.
Like make a point of it because I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of claiming waves.
But you knew that one was going to be
you see me in the back after the wave. I put my hand up like, hey, guys, I landed that. Like, watch the replay, please. Like, but, it's a judge sport, so there's always going to be like human error and stuff like that. It's like, I understand it was a tough call for sure, and that wave would have changed the outcome of the final, in my opinion. Some people say that wave wouldn't have been the score anyways, which is, I think, just a bit of a sus call. But it's tough to kind of be on the other side of a call like that. And like, I'm stoked for Moises. Like, I really like him. He's a really good guy. He's he surfs super well, so I'm like super stoked that he won. Obviously, I would have liked to win. Yeah, but I'm super stoked for him. But yeah, it's hard when there's like a call like that in a heat, especially when it's like, the final. These events are pretty important for the world title. Yeah, like that call could, the world title. Yeah, you never know. It could come down to that call right there. Yeah, and I don't know if they reviewed it enough or.
Yeah, whatever happened.
What happened, but like you watch the footage and you look at it, and I can see how people would probably say the wave was incomplete, but like in my own mind, I know that I had control. If that whitewash part hadn't been there, or if it was like if it was 3 feet in front of me, I could have done a roll, or like I had enough control to. Maybe I should have put my hand up and claimed it. That's been a pretty common trend.
Yeah, go into the closeout with your hand up.
Yeah, go in with my hand up, which, and also like I'd like to think that if I didn't have control after that, I wouldn't say I had landed it. Like, I don't know. I'd like to think that
you wouldn't milk that if you knew you didn't land it.
Yeah, like I would hope that that's the kind of person I would be, but obviously. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we can go into these last two here. Cool. That kind of Alright, well, we're back. This thing got too hot, so we had to switch to the secondary.
Yeah, we're sitting in an air-conditioned car.
I know. Alright, well, we're back with these last few. Andy Barton says, what does he think about the judging? He thinks that you're underscored every wave. So, and I think that might be a commonly known or thought issue from the general public.
Yeah, I try not to think like that too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard it quite a bit throughout my life, but I don't know. I feel like I know how I need to surf to get scores, and you know, if the judges
think otherwise, then I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have an idea of what the level needs to be, and I'm gonna try to be there, and you know.
Yeah.
That's all I can do, really.
Yeah, that is actually all you can do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. You know, I feel like you could probably get caught up in that pretty easily, like thinking like, oh, the judges are like out to get me. Like, I don't know. You see people like, I don't know, like always complaining about their scores, like 2 judges, and I don't know. I like.
It's definitely just opinionated.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like it's a judge sport. It's judged by, you know, people. It's all subjective. So, you know, I definitely, I don't know. Try not to think about it. You can go down a pretty big rabbit hole if you know.
Yeah. Well,
think like that.
Second place in Brazil was also good. Very good results, obviously, for the overall tour.
Yeah.
Andy also says, do you feel like you're the best rider in the world? Who are your favorites? What amps you up? That's a good rounded question, Andy. Good stuff.
There's levels to that one. Well, there's multiple questions in one, actually. Do I feel like I'm the best rider in the world? I couldn't say that. Because I feel like I still have a lot to improve on. I still feel like there's things I'm working on. I definitely don't consider myself to be the best rider. I mean, at least I would make that claim. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, you know, very generous of people to say that. You know, I appreciate it a lot. But, you know, I still have stuff that I feel like I have room to grow on. And yeah, I don't know.
It's a pretty tough question to answer yourself.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. It's a hard one not to just have a big head and say yeah.
Yeah. Last one. This is from our boy Tom.
Okay, here we go.
We had a couple of good times with Tom out in Hawaii this year, but he's asking if there were any White Claws consumed after the final in Brazil.
In Brazil? No, there were no White Claws consumed. Sorry, I'm like scratching my back. This is weird. There were no White Claws consumed the whole of South America. Yeah, unfortunately, there are no White Claws.
It's because you weren't there, Tom.
Yeah, exactly. Tom, you weren't there.
Yeah.
And there will not be White Claws consumed in the Maldives either. I hate to break it to you, Tom.
Oh man.
It's a dry island, so there's no alcohol allowed. So I hope he knew that before he booked flights.
Yeah, that might have made him get his money back when he hears this.
Yeah, refund from Emirates.
Yeah.
We had a couple beers after. Definitely had a couple beers after Arica. Had a little barbecue on the roof with the boys. Just pretty casual, you know.
Yeah.
If I had won, we would have had a few more, I'm sure. But no, we kept it pretty mellow. Also, we didn't have much time in between events to celebrate. Like, we finished Anto and then left the night the comp ended, straight to Arica, and they pretty much started running the comp 2 days later. The next day after we arrived. So it was like
quick turnaround.
Yeah, we took a 10-hour bus ride to Arica from Anto.
Jeez. Got
there, surfed that day. They started the comp the next day. Arica ran. We left the night the waiting period ended, arrived in Brazil, and they started the comp the next day. So
that's quick.
There wasn't much time. There wasn't much time in between for shenanigans.
Quick couple months.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope we answered all the important questions that you guys were pondering.
Yeah.
And let's keep it going in the Maldives.
Yeah, keep it going. Keep it running.
Good stuff.
We'll try to bring home a first place this time.
Yeah. we'll be waiting.
I'm sick. I'm done with seconds. I don't know if my brain could take that.
Yeah.
Pretty, you know, hard one to swallow, but
well, it's
can't complain if the end result works out. So
yeah.
That's the goal. It's a marathon, not a sprint, is what some people have been telling me. So
yeah.
Try to look at it like that.
All right. Shaka Mahada.
Sweet. Check this cool pinky ring I got. Where did I get this? Anto. Or no, Eureka. Yeah.
I was gonna say you got something cool from Anto.
Yeah. What did I get in Anto?
Just about nothing but a second place.
Yeah, just a second place.